Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for this paranormal talk. I'm Phil.
And I'm Tee.
And together we are Old Spirits Investigations, a somewhat local paranormal investigation group.
We've actually spread our net a little wider. We now cover all of Virginia because I live in Lynchburg, Virginia, and Phil lives in Ashburn. So, but we don't specifically just cover Virginia. We've gone as far north as New York State and as far south as Georgia.
As Georgia, West Virginia,
which we're heading next week. We got more about that to talk about. But we're first off, we want to give a big thank you to the to Jessica over at the Central Library for bringing us here. And it's always nice when friends of OSI recommend us to their friends and get us here.
Yes.
So we are, for anybody that has any questions about what we do or how we do it or why we do it, yes, we will be discussing, we will be opening up the floor for questions, but we're going to try to cover as much as possible in the time that we have. And I guess the first question is who we are. I'll let Phil start off.
So, as I mentioned, we're Old Spirits Investigations. We are a paranormal investigation team that we mostly focus our efforts in the state of Virginia. Our mission is we are storytellers, and we seek to connect with the history of locations. History is very important to us. I'll let T talk more about that, but we want to tell the untold stories, the stories that would otherwise go forgotten. That is our main goal when we go out in an investigation is connecting with the property, connecting with the history, and what might be there to give, to lend a voice to the voiceless.
And when Phil says that we're storytellers, we are published authors of science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Unfortunately, it is still in production. I was hoping to be ready for this visit, but we are actually working on an anthology of short stories inspired by a lot of what we do with Old Spirits. It's called, it's going to be called Inspired by True Events. And it's basically going to be an anthology of some of Phil's short stories, some of my short stories, and the final short story we wrote together. And
our first collaboration.
Yeah, I mean, Phil and I have known each other for
20 years.
20 years.
Yeah.
We were very early vanguards of podcasting back in the day. And this is the first time we've actually collaborated as writers on something.
Yeah.
But as you can see right here, Phil still has he has a podcast called Don't Turn Around. It is an interview podcast that was sort of the catalyst for getting us here. And of course, you can find Don't Turn Around on YouTube as well as on any of your podcatching clients.
Yeah, anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Old Spirits you can find on anywhere that's covering YouTube podcasts as well as YouTube itself. So that's who we are. And the next big question is, where did all this begin?
Where did this all begin?
Okay, strap in.
We've got some media.
Strap in. So it's the pandemic. Phil has started Don't Turn Around.
Yep.
And he calls me up and he says, T, this new video game, because we're also, as well as being writers, we're both gamers. Phil calls me up and says, T, there's this brand new game that just dropped. It's called Phasmophobia. And
it had maybe been out a week at the time.
A week.
And I caught wind of it and said, oh, this looks fun and scary and would be so much fun to play with T.
Right. Now, keep in mind, and I'm going to preface this, last night I did not get a good night's sleep because I don't do horror. I don't really do horror movies. But last night at Casa de Rossi, Phil said, we're going to sit down and we're going to watch the movie, because I know Pip and T haven't seen this. We're going to watch the movie Talk to Me. And I didn't get a wink of sleep last night.
That's one thing we love to do on the side when we're not investigating, is show T scary movies, because his reactions, as you will shortly see, are the best ever.
It's a great movie. It's a great movie, Talk to Me, but I will say this right now. I hated it as much as I enjoyed it. So there's that. So we're playing this game called Phasmophobia, and if you want to get a hint of what it was like that first night we played Phasmophobia, I have included this clip. It is a little dark, but it's not really the dark that you're going to be concerning yourself with. It's more about the sound. So here we go.
Green, so we want to see the levels rise on this.
Right.
Okay.
My light is going out. My light is going out.
Where are you? Where are you?
I'm right
Where
behind you.
Oh
I'm
my
right
God.
behind you. I'm
Okay.
right behind
Okay. Oh!
Behind you.
Oh
I'm
my
right
God.
behind you. I'm
Okay.
right behind you.
Okay. Oh!
Ah! Jesus! Oh my God! Ah! Ah!
I'm out of here. Oh, T, the front door is shut. The front door is shut. Where are you?
I'm in a oh my God! I'm in a white room. I'm in a white room.
Where are you?
You're right in front of me,
Where are
and it's
you?
still going up. You're right in front of me. So that was.
T is an actor, but I will assure you in this clip he is not acting.
I'm not acting.
This
In
is
fact,
unbridled
The
horror
voice you
and
heard
fear.
was my wife Pip, who was on the top floor of our house. She heard that scream and came hustling down because she thought I had broken my leg. and as we like to say, we actually have merch that says it all started with a video game.
Yeah.
This was Phasmophobia, and again, when we played it, we knew nothing about it. It was brand new on the market, and we just had this got us through the pandemic.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun. We spent a lot of time playing Phasmophobia. At the same time, as T mentioned, I had started my podcast, Don't Turn Around, where I have people on the show. They talk about their paranormal experiences, share their ghost stories, but how it's impacted their human journey. And the more I got talking to people, the more I got this itch to get out and see if paranormal investigating in earnest was something that I would enjoy. And so I started going out to a local battlefield. I live right near Balls Bluff Battlefield, and I was going out. I bought a couple pieces of gear and just would go out in early morning and just see if anything would happen. And a few things happened, not much at first. It was more kind of getting accustomed to talking to nothing and not feeling foolish doing it. But it only took a couple trips when I knew that I wanted to do more with this, and I knew in my heart who I wanted to do it with. So I called T.
And so, if you'll note the date, tomorrow is our 4th anniversary.
Yes.
We didn't realize this until I was putting together the presentation. I pinged Phil and I said, Phil, do you realize that this is going to be around the eve of our 4th anniversary?
Yes, which is
the
wild.
first place we went to was Balls.
Oh, but let's pause though.
Oh.
Very important conversation. I called T up on the phone.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I say, hey man,
Yeah.
it's been so much fun playing Phasmophobia, but how would you like to do this for real?
And I said, do you have a place in mind? He had the place in mind. He had the dates. He had the times. He had the arrangements. All I had to do was say yes.
It was all booked.
Everything was booked already. And this is Belgrove Plantation just outside of Fredericksburg, Virginia. And while the plantation itself had some serious juju about it, the majority of the investigation took place in the caretaker's home.
And on a side note, if you watch the show Kindred Spirits,
Yeah.
I believe it's an episode, season 2 or 3, Belgrove Plantation is featured, which is how I came wind of it and realized that it was actually quite close to us, and it seemed like a good place for us to cut our teeth and give this a shot.
And over the 4 years, it's hard to believe where we've been, but we've covered, in my opinion, a lot of ground. And in fact, covering ground will include next week, we're going to the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum in West Virginia.
Yep.
And this place is absolutely nuts, pardon the pun. I did not mean that as a dad joke. It just came out that way. But when I was putting together this slide, I just realized just some of the most incredible places we've been to, places that have been a lot of fun. And we've right now we are standing at we've done 10 investigations at this place alone. The aforementioned Kindred Spirits,
Yeah.
their last season's opener was at this place, Linville Manor, and this is in Upper Marlboro, Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
And it's run by a fantastic individual named Wynn Brewer.
The best.
Uh,
One of the best
two,
people.
Great accommodations. 3, place is haunted.
Oh, it's
bottom line.
It's haunted, and it's one of our favorite spots. The
really
energy, it's a very playful energy for the most part. There's a couple spirits there that are a little grumpy, but we've done overnights there. We've brought our entire families there. We've brought our kids. We've brought their friends. We've done public events there. It's just a great spot if you're interested in getting into paranormal investigation to go and check out. It's I don't want to say it has training wheels. Not by any stretch.
But it's a great proving ground. If
Yeah.
you've got a new gadget you want to try out, or if you just want to try it out to begin with, because as skeptics like to call paranormal investigators, it's hard to be a wall talker, because that's that's one of the terms I've heard used for paranormal investigators, wall talkers. And to some extent, it is a term of endearment. Because I'd rather be a wall talker than a wall screamer. I'll talk about that a little later. But if you're interested, and I'm assuming you've got some kind of interest if you're here today, but if you're interested, the biggest question is, where do you even start? Where do you even begin? Does it start with all the gadgets? Where does it all begin? Phil, go on ahead and take us into the next slide, because this is all you. Just let it ride. Just let it ride.
Oh, it's going to ride? Okay.
There you go.
Okay, so you start with yourself, honestly. Your body, your senses, that is your most critical piece of gear in your entire paranormal arsenal. It's about being self-aware, and then it's also about being aware of the space around you, what you may feel, what you may see, what you may hear, those vibes you pick up, the response you get in your gut. It's all very important barometer to sense that there is even just the potential for activity. And it's getting yourself in the mindset as well. I like to parallel investigation almost to a meditative act, because you're getting into a certain headspace when you're investigating. Time almost tends to slow down, and you become very aware of the environment that you're in. But I've found it is so critical to get into that headspace. And then on the theoretical side too, I firmly believe that being in that headspace and being open is related to the amount of activity that you may experience, and even the evidence that you might walk home with.
And a lot of what Phil is talking about is something that you hear in a lot of the paranormal circles, particularly from investigators. They talk about personal experiences, which are great. I heard a voice. I smell cigarettes. I feel this. I feel that. That's great. But when you get into the more analytical and what I prefer critical side of things, that's when you're going to be like, well, what did you catch on camera? What did you catch on audio? And that is why, along with having an open mind but a critical eye, I'm the one that also says you need to have a good video and audio capture device. And we already have it. It's your phone. Probably some of the best EMFs that I have ever caught have been on our phones. In fact, we even show you a couple examples of stuff that we caught with our phones coming up a little later.
Yeah, but I've even caught EVPs just using the voice memo recorder. I was on a boys' weekend several years ago. This guy had a little house by the river, and there was an abandoned farm. And they got wind of that I was a paranormal investigator, and they said, "Oh, why don't we?" Actually, you know what? That's a lie. I said, "Why don't we go check out the farmhouse?" And so we went and checked it out, and I actually captured several very compelling EVPs just on my phone.
And when we say to invest in a video and an audio device, we're saying start simple. Start simple. If you want to go beyond just using your phone, fine. Then go on ahead and use a camera like this. When we talk about audio recorders, you can get up to something as sophisticated as this. But when I say sophisticated, I mean the pickups, the way that the microphone works. The pickups are a lot more advanced in a device like this than a device like this, or even in a smaller digital recorder. But
speaking of small digital recorders,
there we go.
This is from a series of recorders called Evastars. You can get them for about $50 on
35
Amazon.
on Amazon.
Yeah, and I caught my first EVP ever on an Evastar recorder at Fort McHenry up in the Baltimore area. They're small, they're lightweight, they're extremely durable.
Yeah.
And Yeah, you don't need to invest in, say, something like an H4, which will run
Right.
you, a couple
About
hundred,
about $200-300.
Yeah, $200-300. You can start off with a $35
But
recorder.
you can pick up one of these for as low as 35. You
Yeah.
can pick up one of these for as low as 100. But again, we'll talk about making a jump a little later. But if you have an audio capture device and a video capture device, then maybe one of some of the gadgets you see up here.
Yeah.
And we'll explain a little later why just one. But you could use something like a spirit box. The more popular option, the K2 meter. This measures electromagnetic frequencies, or EMF. Then you get into some of the more expensive stuff, like you've got an Envoy, which I have described to people as a digital Ouija board, if you will.
Yeah, that's a good description.
So you of course, you see this in all the shows, the REM pods, right? This was actually my first. This one right here was my first.
Yeah.
And it's called the Flex 2, and I get why they call it a Flex 2, but every time I think of the Flex 2, I just think of acid reflux, so I can't call it Flux. But instead, I call this one Simon, because it makes red and green lights as well as it beeps, and it reminds me of the old video game Simon.
Exactly.
And so I call this one Simon. We have a Halloween edition of the Flex 2. I call that one Chuck in honor of Charlie Brown. And but that was my first device, and this set me back about $200.
Yeah.
But this is my MVP. I will always go back to Simon.
Yeah.
He is a workhorse. So some people would probably say, well, wait a minute. I don't have to spend that much money. I can just download an app. Let's talk about apps. Phil, would you like to start? Or do you want me to start on this?
I can start
Okay.
with apps. So I've always been skeptical of apps, right? Because you never really know what's going on with the development of the app. You don't know what's happening in the background. You don't know if it just has a preset script.
And for Phil to be skeptical, so when it comes to the paranormal, that's Fox Mulder, I'm Dana Scully. Okay.
Yes.
And if you don't know that reference,
I want to
shame on
believe.
you. Yeah, shame on you if you don't know that, and you're here.
Yes, go watch the X-Files.
Exactly. Some age better than others, but anyway.
This is true.
But go ahead, Phil. You were talking about how people
So
can.
there was a skepticism because it's all it's all coding, it's all scripts running. So anyone can program an app to do certain things at certain time intervals to mimic activity.
Yeah.
So there are so many apps out there, and to really understand what you're getting with an app, you have to get it out in the field and really run it through its paces over the course of quite a long time. That being said, we have come across a couple apps that have corroborated with our other gear, that have been really compelling in terms of the evidence they've been providing at locations, that there are some apps that we would recommend.
Yes. One of the apps I would not recommend, though, is Spirit Talker. I've seen a lot of the paranormal entertainers using Spirit Talker, and every other word out of it is demon, murder, blood. Everything is very sensational.
Yes.
And I've noticed that in every investigation they do. However, developed by investigators for investigators, there's an entire suite of apps that they've developed. It's called GhostTube, and this is done by the folks over at Amy's Crypt. This is spearheaded by Amy and Jared over at Amy's Crypt, and
Amy's Crypt, they have a very successful YouTube channel.
Yeah.
They travel all over the world doing some really, really fascinating investigations.
They're good people,
and they're good investigators
and great investigators.
Yeah.
And their suite is GhostTube, then GhostTube Seer, GhostTube SLS, and GhostTube Vox. Vox is a very sophisticated portal that runs through your phone. SLS.
And what he means by that, it's a phenome generator.
Yeah.
So it takes pieces of word sounds. And
No. That's Vox,
right? Yeah,
that's Vox.
Yeah.
I was moving on to SLS.
Oh yeah. So it takes phenome, so like vowels, consonants, word sounds, and it runs it through randomizers and keys off different environmental parameters, and then at times you'll hear actual words come up from just these phenomes.
So that's Vox. SLS is similar to the video game technology that the Kinect once used, where it will sense shapes using LiDAR. I'm not a big fan of SLS. Vox is a little, I have a Spirit box, so I kind of find Vox a little redundant. Then there's the original Ghost Tube, which has an EMF meter, has a word bank, so it acts a little bit like a communication device where it will give you a phrase or give you a word, again, based on environmental changes and parameters. The one that has fascinated me the most of all the suite is...
And the one that I was most skeptical of.
Yes, that's the even funnier bit. It's called Ghost Tube Seer, where it uses an AI algorithm and creates AI-generated art based on the word or phrase that is being picked up by the word bank built into Seer. So instead of a phrase or a word, you're given a piece of generative AI art. And I'm not sure if this was the night that Phil became a believer in Seer.
And I think if you're talking about the night that I think you're talking about.
At Linville Manor.
Yes.
Yeah.
This was the night where I went from being pretty skeptical and hard on this app to being a believer.
Yeah. So we're doing an ST session. Again, we'll explain what an ST session is a little later. But an ST session with a lovely paranormal investigator named Liana Rupert. And she was under, and she was really just along, she was having the time of her life at Linville Manor. She was just like, I love this house. She kept saying again, I love this house, I love this house. And in the middle of her ST session, when I was running Ghost Tube Seer, the random AI generated art that we were given, and I kid you not, and this is the only time it's ever happened, was a portrait of Liana.
It was a spitting image of her. She has
High
blue
cheekbones.
hair, high cheekbones, her eye. I mean, it shocked the heck out of me.
I showed Phil, I showed our buddy Steve.
I said, nope.
And
it was amazing.
so
and it's not like we had the device even trained on her.
No,
you know, like we weren't holding it like this.
No,
Yeah,
I had her in the field of
Yeah.
shot, but then she just popped up there, and I'm like, and she had talked about something involving circles. She was surrounded by orbs of light.
Yeah.
Which
Circles.
again, ridiculous, and it's okay as a paranormal investigator to go, this is ridiculous.
Yes.
I mean that's okay.
It is okay.
Yeah.
We've often said this is absolutely bonkers.
But you want to know the limitations of the devices that you're working
Yes.
with. That is, anytime you start working with this type of technology, you really want to know what the limitations are.
Yeah.
For example, there are people who swear by the REM pod. They swear by it. You know, if this goes off, it's evidence, not even a possibility, not
It's
even
100% a ghost is interacting with it.
Right. But here's what you need to know about REM pods. A walkie-talkie can set it off. Your phone can set it off. A thunderstorm can set it off. And skeptics like to say, well, you know, that's because the technology is dodgy. You know, it's just a glorified theremin. Yeah, that's the point of it. Because it is pretty much a one antenna theremin.
Yeah, in fact,
Oh, if you want to turn it on.
we'll just turn it on.
If it goes off, we cannot be responsible if
Yeah.
it goes off on its own accord.
And so it works on proximity. What this does is it generates its own static field, right? And when something breaks the field, then the device will activate. So you see as my hand comes in closer, so I'm interacting with the static field, and the closer I get, more lights light up until if I grab it, and that's essentially, it's a simple device. But again, as T mentioned, it does have its limitations.
Right.
And understanding those limitations and even taking the time to set a baseline and see how this device interacts when it's getting interference from technology will then really serve you out in the field, because then you'll be better prepared to identify false positives.
Right.
And then what you're left with is actual evidence. That is
And
part of
when we say evidence, we don't mean evidence of the paranormal. It's a data point.
right.
And
I mean evidence of the paranormal.
that's what he means. That's what he means. One of the highest compliments I think we ever got as a paranormal team came from one of the most skeptical people that's out there, a guy by the name of Kenny Biddle. This happened at Penhurst Paracon, and we happened to see Kenny Biddle, which was kind of like, you know, you happen to be walking down the street and you happen to see Elvis. And we basically introduced ourselves, we told him who we were, and he goes, I like how you guys are approaching this. You're not looking for ghosts. You're looking to see what's going on.
Yeah.
And that is the difference between a paranormal investigator and a paranormal entertainer. Again, a line I'm going to be talking about a little later in this. We have a lot of stuff in this presentation, trust us. And so I want to say that armed with just this in my hand, here was the first thing we ever caught. Well, actually not for Phil. This is the first thing I ever caught.
On our first investigation.
First investigation, I fire up this is at the Belgrove Plantation in the caretaker's house, and this is within the first 5 minutes of being there. Wow. It'll do that. Gotcha. So when you walk over here, just step on that. I'll try to. Yeah. Is there anybody in here right now? I'm new at this, so go gently on me. That was in the first 5 minutes, and when I heard that no, I, again, screamed like I was playing Phasmophobia, and my wife comes running down, and I just handed her the headphones. She put the headphones on, and she just said, "What was that?" I'm like, "I don't know!"
And so let me ask you this.
Okay.
This is your first pass of listening to evidence. You hear this. What was the processing that took place after that? Because that's part of it too, is you're going to go out, and if you're lucky, you're going to experience something like this.
Yeah.
And it does have an impact on your perception of the whole thing. It's one thing to watch it on TV. It's another thing when it happens. And so what was that like for you?
Well, you know how sometimes when something happens to you, whether it's a good traumatic or a bad traumatic, it just sears in your brain. You remember every detail about it. That's this moment for me, or this is one of those moments. Because I remember I had put off, I don't think I've told Phil this, I have been putting off reviewing any of this footage. It was at least a week after we had gotten back from Belgrove, because I had hours of footage that I had to look at to see if, what happened, because I knew Phil was going to be looking through his footage, and I'm like, I guess I'm going to look through mine, And I remember right before I heard that no, I am sitting there with my headphones, I'm watching the video, and I remember vividly thinking, am I wasting my time right now? There's so many thousands of, what did I just hear? And that's when I screamed for my wife. And I didn't catch the Get Out until a week later. I was getting ready to do our very first, or starting to put together stuff for our very first episode of OSI, of Old Spirits. And then I was like, wait a minute. And I listened again, and I listened again. Now.
And I do want to point out what was also made this more compelling was that I, in a separate room, at a shortly separate time, I called it Get Out as well, which apparently is a fairly common catch in this particular location on this particular property.
But I will say that when that happened, I was really questioning my life choices. I was like, I'm wasting an entire afternoon. I could be upstairs with my wife, I could be watching some TV, I could just be chilling out, and I'm down here, going through footage of me just going, is there anybody in here? Derp, derp, derp. And then I catch these two EVPs within 5 minutes of each other, in the first 5 minutes of being there.
And now it doesn't always happen like that.
It does not.
It doesn't always.
No.
You may go through a whole 3 hours of audio and not capture.
Matter of fact, I guarantee you, Phil and I could probably go back, and I know it's something I'm planning for us to do, because I'm seeing a lot of other paranormal investigators do this. They go back to their early stuff when they have the cheaper equipment, and they go, okay, let's see if we really did catch EVPs. And then they go back and like, that's not an EVP. Oh, we were convinced that was an EVP. Yeah. I'm still convinced that what I caught was not an anomaly. It was an anomaly. It was something I can't explain. And that, in a sense, is what the paranormal is. It's not ghosts. I cannot explain this by normal reasoning. I have eliminated everything that I could eliminate from this equation. It wasn't Phil. It wasn't our host from Fredericksburg Paranormal. I was the only person in the room. I did not hear that, and you can tell by my voice track that I'm just trumbling along, and I didn't hear a no. I didn't hear a get out.
Yeah.
But something was there, and I've listened to that audio again and again, and I'm like, I can't rule it all out. And that's what I mean by the critical eye.
Yeah, and I will say too, just to highlight how T and I sort of complement each other between highly skeptical, less skeptical. T says it's unexplained, it's a data point, but I'm not saying it's ghosts. Whereas I will say it's unexplained, it's a data point, it sure could be ghosts.
But there are some places where I'm like, no, that's ghosts. No, that's ghosts. That's ghosts.
Yes.
Which now brings us to upgrades. And this is what I want to make sure of. Before you start dumping cash, like as my mom said to the owner and proprietor of Ghost Stop, my mom, you're going to love this. My mom said, so you're the man that's taking all my son's money. and my mom.
Because it does get expensive.
It does get very expensive. But you want to wait until after your third investigation. Because then you'll know, I have the patience to sit down and watch all this video and listen to all this audio. And not just once, but again and again and again. And then you're going to go in ahead and...
And I will, it's my honest, while you reverse it, and I will say this too, it's not even just having the patience to sit down and go through the audio, it's also having, and I won't say even the patience, but to go out to a location and to be able to sit and just be present in this location and not have anything happen.
For
and still,
hours
yes,
on
and
end.
still be excited about it.
I consider us very, very lucky. Phil and I.
Yeah, for sure.
We, on our fifth investigation, it was big old number 5, we went to this place called Crescent SCI. That's where this is taken during the day. This was our second visit there, and that was during the day. But Crescent SCI had just opened to the public. And to give you an idea how hot this place was, shortly after we went, the OGs, the ghost hunters went there, and they were accompanied by the Ghost Brothers and Project Fear.
Project Fear went there. Well, they went there as Destination Fear
twice,
and they liked it so much they came back as Project Fear.
And this place was, and it's still we're still trying to figure out what the future of this place is, but we went there for a 12-hour lock-in.
Yeah, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m.
And I was exhausted, but if you would have asked me at that moment, I would have been like, I won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I single-handedly won the Super Bowl.
Absolutely. And just to frame it for you, a nor'easter had been blowing through the area and the tail end of the storm was coming through, and we get up there and it's like this drizzle and it's gray out, and it was just...
It was Silent Hill.
Perfect. But then...
It was Silent Hill.
But then...
I know I got gamers in here. It was Silent Hill.
Fast forward to the evening when we're finally getting out and going to the different buildings on this property. We had access to 15 different buildings. It is a huge campus. But at this point, the fog had fully descended. I had this paper map that was like soaking wet in my hands, and we're walking around trying to find the buildings that we're going to next. And they just, I'm getting the chills just talking about it. And then the buildings will just loom up out of the fog. It could not have been more amazing.
But when you're looking at these different devices, what you're going to find out is what they do when you start doing the upgrades. A lot of these devices measure EMF, or electromagnetic frequencies, theory being that changes in electromagnetism, it will go on ahead and it will be a proof of something being there that is highly charged, because as we all learned from the Matrix, we all are basically batteries. We have the same amount of electricity as a small little Duracell, right? And when we say changes in EMF, we're not talking itty-bitty changes. We're talking about sudden spikes.
Right.
Because the Earth, remember, has a magnetic field, so you could be picking up on just a weird, anomaly of the Earth. But then when it goes from 0 to 2.5, or if it goes up to a 10, then you're like, oh wait, that's a little different. either someone is setting off an electromagnetic device to or someone just set off an atomic bomb, or something is happening that we can't explain.
Yeah, and I think in terms of EMF, in terms of that being one of the traditionally gathered types of data, there is enough sort of historical evidence from over the years of people engaging in paranormal investigation as far back as the 60s and 70s that there appears to be a correlation, right? There have been enough data points gathered that this correlation exists, that it seems to be related to the paranormal. Yeah. It's as legitimate as you can get in a parascience.
For what we know, what we know. And then we have devices.
And I will say the last point I'll make too, and it has fully corroborated with our experiences on investigations as well.
Yeah, it has. Devices measuring temperature are also a real popular one. As for my gamers out there with phasmophobia, whenever you see your breath, or if you've got your thermostat, and it's saying that there's a sudden dip in the temperature, that is a sign that something is trying to, it's gathering up energy from that immediate space. So the temperature goes down, and that is something you see a lot. The most recent one that I've been really enjoying, and this is why I chose the flux. That's why I went with Simon as my first one, is that it doesn't measure EMF. I knew we had that covered. It does measure temperature, but it also measures motion. And that is really hard to necessarily dismiss, because when something is close to it, when something is getting close to it, it starts rapidly beeping and starts telling you where something is. So right there, it'll calibrate. And once it calibrates, it'll either pick up something that's close to it when nothing's there. Now you see why I call it Simon, because it sounds like that game. And the thing is, I wanted to play around with that, because if it's picking up motion, either one, it's going to have to be a bug, a very big bug that we can all see that's going to be setting it off, or something that isn't there. And those tend to be the devices that I enjoy the most, are the ones that measure motion, because that's hard to confuse with anything. Yeah. Because if it doesn't pick up dust, it doesn't pick up small insects, it doesn't pick up any of that. So I'm a big fan of the devices that do motion. That's something that Ghost Stop has gone.
And one comment too about any of these quote unquote upgrades we're talking about. It's not just the hits that you get on these devices that validate the data that you're getting. Often it's the devices not going off that tend to really validate when you get an actual hit on a device.
When I took Simon to the Belgrove Plantation, it went off twice. Mm-hmm. In a 6-hour period, it went off twice. Then we took that thing to the crash site of TWA Flight 514, and it would not stop.
Was it just randomly going off?
That's the other thing that was kind of freaky, because I was zooming in on it to make sure there were no insects or anything, because it was an outdoor site. And at the TWA crash site, which we can't go back to, we were the last team to investigate there, because they built luxury homes on it.
Yeah, how horrible is that?
That's a
whole other topic.
That's a discussion.
We'll
for
save
another
that for
day.
the Q&A. But what was interesting,
it was responding directly to the questions I was saying.
But what was even more interesting was we're getting all these responses directly to the questions T was asking. The last questions we asked this device at the crash site was, should we go back at night? Boom,
I'm getting
no.
chills.
Will it be safe to go back at night? Boom, no.
I didn't even get a chance to finish the question.
Yes.
And it kept going red.
So T, did we go back at night?
We went back at night.
So we went back at night. And
I don't want to talk about what happened that night.
But what's wild is, we'll save that for the Q&A.
We'll save that for the Q&A.
But what is wild is this device did not go off more than once when we went back at night.
At night. Didn't mean that was the only thing that we experienced, but that's one of our most watched episodes. Yeah. And I believe it's most watched because, one, of what we offer people, of this is what we found, but also two, it was the most, it wasn't the norm for for places to investigate. I mean, it was a crash. It was an airline crash site.
Yeah.
So again, we were very lucky to be the last team to get in there before they started really building the houses. But now we get to ITC devices. This is the stuff you see on all the ghost shows, on all of the various, the different ways that people are communicating with the other side. And when I say communicating in big quotes, yes, I am being critical. Not skeptical, but critical. Because there's been some stuff that we have picked up on the spirit box that I cannot explain.
This is the spirit box.
That's the spirit box.
This is the SB11 spirit box.
ITC stands for Instrumental Transcommunication. And that includes spirit boxes, it includes word banks, which is GhostTube, which is the Ovilus, the Paratex, the Paratex that we have, Paratech and Anubis. These are the random word generators that you see a lot of people talking about.
And how these devices work is just like GhostTube, they have a word bank, so that is a catalog of up to, I think these are up to 20,000, this is 10,000 words, this is 20,000 words. There's environmental sensors on these devices that measure EMF, temperature fluctuations, barometric pressure, and then using those sensors and then some voodoo behind the scenes, that's how it starts pulling up these words.
And that's where people get very critical, and rightfully so. They get very critical of stuff like spirit boxes, which skeptics refer to as broken radios. They basically refer to word banks as the device that's listening to you, things like that. But we put that to the test at OSI. My wife actually disabled the microphone in GhostTube and started asking questions. GhostTube was still responding with all kinds. Now, she couldn't record her responses, but we had a camera on her recording her and the responses coming out of GhostTube. So that was just as good.
Yeah.
And the thing is that we can say without equivocation, GhostTube does not listen to you.
Right.
GhostTube. Now, when you disable the microphone in GhostTube, you can't record the sessions directly from GhostTube. But that's why you have these pro-level cameras, which would be the next big thing. Because, for example, this camera right here will put you back maybe $100 to $150. That camera is going to put you back about $1,300.
And there are cameras in between.
And there are cameras in between. But when you start getting into the Canon XA11s and you start going up in price, what are you paying for? Well, this has digital optics, which means that it's all onboard computers that are rendering the look of the video. These lenses are glass. They're proper optics, okay? And these optics, they're going to give you far better screen quality, far better sound quality. And when it comes to the IR emitters, IR stands for infrared. Infrared will drain these batteries. These will drain the batteries as well, just not as fast. And there's when we made this upgrade, and if anybody's curious, these are the same cameras that Project Fear use.
Yeah, that's why we made the upgrade.
Exactly.
Because they seem, and that's the other thing that you're paying for too, is not just the optics, but it is reliability. These cameras are workhorses. They will stand the test of time. When you're paying, for a $100 camera,
you're getting a $100 camera.
You're getting a $100 camera, so be prepared for the camera to fail on you at some point, as they invariably will.
Especially on site, which sucks.
In the middle of an investigation, it can happen, and it has happened.
The last upgrade, and Phil kind of rolls his eyes at this because but the thing is, he started seeing some of the results of it. And he said, "Okay, T, I'm with you."
I see why you picked this up.
Drones. If you're doing a show like Old Spirits, especially this season, because I just upgraded to that and. It's already paid for itself, in my opinion. I got some beautiful shots of Annenberg. I got some beautiful shots of the USS North Carolina. And we were invited to investigate our church. And my priest said, "Is there any way we could get that drone footage?" I'm like, "Don't worry, it's coming, it's coming." But the drone footage just adds something to when you're talking about the property, and then you can do a cutaway to a flyover of that property or that site. Like I said, I cannot wait to get the thing up in the air at Trans-Allegheny. And if somebody says, "Sir, that's got to come down," I'll be like, "Okay, I'm bringing it around," and I'm just one big pass.
I've lost control of the drone.
Oh no!
I can't seem to land it.
So true story. Phil and Tina are pulling away from the candy factory. I had a $150 drone. It was my beginner drone. And I was trying to get some aerial shots at night at the candy factory, and through my phone, I'm trying to control it, and Pip's like, T, it's starting to go away. Maybe you should bring it back. So I tell it to bring it back. It's still going. I hit recall. It's still going. And I went, I can't. They're laughing at me in the car while I'm trying desperately to get control of the drone. And the last footage I was able to get to my phone from the drone is it coming to a crash landing on top of the candy factory. And the folks at the candy factory said, we'll let you go up there and get it. I'm like, nope. It is now, that drone is now
and
part of
to
the
this
candy
day,
factory.
it's still on the roof of the candy
It is
factory.
still sitting up there. So if you want a free drone, just tell them OSI sent you.
Before we move on, my favorite drone story, again, the $100 drone, was we were investigating the Jenny Wade house in Gettysburg.
Oh, jeez.
And T decides, all right, I want to get some drone footage before we leave. It's about
This is
3
why
in
he
the
was
morning.
skeptical of the drone footage.
It's about 3 in the morning, and T's trying to control the drone. And then we see T running down the street, and the drone is chasing him.
Yeah, it was.
That was my favorite moment of all of our investigations.
I am not one to say was the drone possessed, but I'm just going to say it. That drone was possessed. It had the devil in it.
So this next slide, what's your intent? I think this is a perfect segue from equipment, because in terms of what gear you want to get and what you want to bring out with you into the field, I think intent does play into that, because it's all about what you are setting out to do will be directly related to what gear may or may not work best for you.
So now we're going to address that elephant in the room, and I'm just going to start off with the $1,000 question. Did a doll kill Dan Rivera? For those of you who don't know, this is Dan Rivera. He is a paranormal investigator, has been for many years. I believe he's affiliated with NESPR.
Yep, NESPR.
NESPR is the group that's been,
for
the New England Society for Paranormal Research, I believe.
Yeah.
He was currently on tour with the doll known as Annabelle, and they found him dead in his Gettysburg hotel room.
Very tragic.
When this happened. Did a doll kill Dan Rivera? There's a simple answer for that. No.
Absolutely not.
A doll did not kill Dan Rivera. Now we get into the problem with Annabelle. What a lot of people think, when you mention Annabelle, they think of the porcelain doll with the pot marks and the burn marks and all this stuff that you see in the WCU, otherwise known as the Warren Cinematic Universe, from Annabelle. What a lot of people don't know, because friends of mine were pinging me after Dan Rivera passed and said, please be careful, please be careful. I said, have you seen pictures of Annabelle? And then 5 minutes later they go, it's a Raggedy Ann doll. I'm like, yup. And I have a big problem with Annabelle. I have a bigger problem with the Warrens. It's one of the things that we are disagreeing constantly about on Old Spirits.
I grew up in Connecticut, so I grew up with the Warrens, right? So we'll just leave it at that.
And
we won't get too into it.
No, we're not going to get too into it, but I will say this. If a demon did possess a Raggedy Ann doll, this has got to be the demon that other demons get around the water cooler and they talk about going, did you hear what Stan did the other day? Did you? Can you believe this guy, man, I'll tell you what. Adolf, shut up! I'm telling you, man. You know, I mean, I have a lot of, what is Annabelle going to do? Flop me to death? It's just, and the fact that they're saying, well, it's because of the atmosphere. It's because of the atmosphere. Another friend of mine said, what about Robert the Doll? We're not talking about Robert the Doll. Robert the Doll freaks me out, but as far as, and I'm just going to leave it at that. Annabelle, on the other hand, because it's got the Warren stank on it, because it has, because every, and I'm not kidding, every team that I have seen go into the Conjuring House. They go into the Conjuring House and they find a big fat nothing.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of issues with Annabelle, but the bigger issue I have with the whole death of Dan Rivera is that there have been a lot of paranormal, I'm not kidding, it pains me to say this, paranormal influencers. Yeah, they're real. They're more real than the ghost, sadly. But they have been coming out speculating about Annabelle's hand in this. But we've forgotten that this guy was an Army veteran. We've forgotten that this guy had a wife. We've forgotten this guy had a family. And both Amy Bruni and the OG himself, Jason Hawes, they've all come out and they've said, knock it off.
Yeah, stop.
Knock it off. And we address this because, one, this is present news, but we're also addressing it to talk about intent. Because if your intent is to get the clicks and the likes and all that stuff, then yeah, you're going to be saying Annabelle killed. If Annabelle really had that much power, why is she on tour?
Why is she not in a government vault somewhere?
Yeah, why is she not sitting next to the Ark of the Covenant, you know, and things like that? Why is there not a wake of dead bodies behind? I mean, you know, and the amount of damage this is doing to the family of Dan Rivera is wrong.
Yeah.
And it's awful. So when it comes to what we do at Old Spirits, we show nothing but respect. We go to the property. We thank whatever's there that, you know, that they're letting us come onto their property. Some entities that we've dealt with have been more than receptive and more than kind. Others, not so much. Are they demons? I don't think so. I do think, however, that there are darker entities than others.
And I will piggyback on that too. So respect, right? If ghosts and spirits are something that we believe in, then I think it's safe to say that the majority of these ghosts and spirits that we're dealing with were formerly living people. We don't know what happens. We don't have definitive evidence of what happens when we cross over. But let's, under the guidance of respect, and that being the intention, assume that these are people just without bodies. That maybe died tragically, maybe are stuck, or maybe just are hanging around because that's what they wanted to do. And to treat them as you would treat, you know, your fellow investigators, other teams, other people in the field, your friends, your family. You want to be respectful. Going
back to TWA, and this is where I really fall into this, and it also ties into here as well. The thing about TWA Flight 514 is this was just a run-of-the-mill, you know, hop and skip and a jump from Columbus, Ohio to Washington, to then Reagan. Well, no, not then. It was Washington National Airport.
Right.
Now Reagan International Airport. But they got diverted to Dulles
because of weather.
And they got bad. Well, it wasn't. They didn't realize how bad the lexicon was between ground control and air control until this incident was the tipping point.
Yeah, there was a real disconnect in the language between air traffic controllers and between pilots and flight crews to very critical things of when you should begin your final descent.
They said basically that they were clear for 1400, and I believe they were talking about 1400 on the horizontal, but the folks in Flight 514 thought it was 1400 vertical. So they descended, and there's Mount Weather with an elevation of 1900 feet. I'll let you do the math. And counting flight crew, 92 lives were snuffed out.
Instantaneously.
They were gone. And I don't feel like that really sunk in until an EVP that Phil caught. Phil was talking. I can't even remember what the question was, but it was so chilling, the response. And it is in the episode. But you hear these two voices go, "Oh my God," and then another voice go, "What am I going to do?"
Yeah, you're giving me the chills.
Yeah,
just talking about it. and
it's that
really
kind of respect.
I mean,
it was that kind of respect that we, as paranormal investigators, especially from that point, I was like, I need to take this as seriously as possible because there were people involved in this.
Yeah.
Which brings us back to the history. We make it as, I mean, trust me, when I was a high school student, I couldn't recite history like that. But I have, and I'll tell you another little quick story too. I went 53 years being on this planet and I never set foot in Gettysburg. Not even for a field trip from school. I've never been to Gettysburg. My first year as a paranormal investigator, 7 times. I went to Gettysburg 7 times. And each time it got weirder and weirder and weirder. But the history, man, if there are places that are starting to figure out, I really believe this, there are places starting to figure out that, hey, if we do a paranormal bent to history, maybe we'll get more people interested in history again. And you know what? It does work.
It seems to be.
It works provided you're going in respectfully. And that's what brings us to the thin paranormal line. On one side of the spectrum,
And we don't want to offend anyone with this. These
I
are
will.
definitely our
I will.
opinions. T
I
will.
will. I will.
Everyone has their jam, right? The things that they like.
Yeah.
We just really want to make the distinction between investigators and entertainers.
Yeah.
Take it away, T.
Okay,
I'm gonna
strap in,
step out of the
everybody.
room for
Strap
this.
in. Strap in, live stream. This is where it's going to get bumpy. When it comes to paranormal investigators, here's the aforementioned Amy's Crypt. The OGs themselves, the ghost hunters, led by the stacked, jacked, and packed Jason Hawes. He is in far too good a shape.
Yeah.
He could bench press me with his brain.
Yeah, in the Q&A section, remind me to tell you about the moment I thought Jason Hawes was going to punch T in the face.
It could have happened. We have Katrina Weidman and Nick Groth. Paranormal Lockdown was their
their
thing
show,
together.
yeah.
They are no longer doing Paranormal Lockdown, but you can find that streaming somewhere. And then we have Paranormal Quest. We picked up. I finally got to meet these guys this spring. Nice guys, and we actually are picking up a method that I learned about through them. They call it abandonment, and in abandonment, what do I need to turn this off and turn it back on?
I can turn it back on while you're talking about abandonment.
So with abandonment, you basically just leave the equipment alone, and either you go off and you have dinner or something like that, but you're not in there. And we did that at Annaberg, and we heard footsteps. REM pod was going off. Different devices were going off, and there was no one on the floor. No one, not a soul. But these are paranormal investigators. They don't go in screaming the D word. They don't go in, like ripping their. And I've seen this in other paranormal entertainment. People are ripping their shirts off. Not just him, but he set the bar. He set the bar.
He did set the bar for ripping your shirts
Screaming at
off.
the walls. They're pretending they're. These guys have been repossessed more than some automobiles. Okay.
Yeah.
And then of course we have Sam and Colby.
I tried really hard to like Sam and Colby because my teenagers love them, and I really tried, but it
Well, they kind of crossed the line with us. I don't mind saying. Sam and Colby crossed the line with us when they went to Linville Manor. They actually were pretty decent
in
their investigation.
Yeah.
But
And they do have moments where they do investigate well. I will say that. I can't totally knock Sam and Colby. They have moments where they actually really are doing the work.
But it was when they were referring to the owner and proprietor as their guide. And I'm like, you need to give Wynn a little more respect than that.
Say the man's name.
And I was, say the man's name, exactly. Put him up there, Wynn Brewer, host and owner, Linville Manor.
Because he completely restored the property.
Yeah.
It was fully dilapidated,
Oh, it was a mess.
probably months away from being condemned. No front door. There
remember,
were
he's got
animals living in it.
Yeah, there were some beams that had numbers on them
Yeah.
that they were. Yeah, I mean, but he saved it.
He saved it.
But anyway, I don't mind what they do.
No.
Until they say we're paranormal investigators. No, you're not. If you hear a noise and you're running away from it, I got bad news for you. You're doing paranormal investigation wrong.
You're wrong. You're doing it wrong.
You're doing it so wrong. And if they want to call what they do paranormal entertainment, fine. I'm good with it. But they kind of bury it in the description. The worst part is there are people that are convinced this is how you paranormal investigate, which is why you have a lot of people getting arrested for doing stupid stuff without permission when they're trespassing on properties, because they think this is
what you do.
paranormal investigation, when it's not. It is so far over the top for what you do. In fact, if you want to know what it's like being on a paranormal investigation, it's like fishing. You are sitting there for hours and nothing happens. And then you've got 5 minutes of
where everything's going off.
Exactly. So that is Now you know our standpoint about,
Yeah.
about
And it
this.
has its place. Paranormal entertainment
It
absolutely
does.
has its place.
But paranormal investigation can also be entertaining as well. I find it entertaining watching investigators investigate.
yeah.
But it always comes back to this question: what is your intent? Why are you deciding, I want to look into this? If it's for the clicks and for the likes and for the wackiness, great. But you're not paranormal investigating. You're there to either find out why people are weirded out by a place, or you're trying to find out more about its history. But now the bigger question is, what have we caught? We've been talking a good game here, and you've seen me with 2 EVPs. It's like, come on, T. What have you
Yeah,
got?
come on, T.
Come
What
on.
is this presentation?
Exactly. we're gonna get to the stuff that you really want to know. Okay. So this is at the Wayside Inn, the oldest operating inn in the United States, and this is in room 14, which is considered the most haunted room. And this is my wife filming on GhostTube, and we have the Rook here, and she's
The
just
Rook detects electromagnetic fluctuations.
Electromagnetic
A
frequencies.
little bit like a K2.
yeah. And I'll just let the clip talk. The only 2 people in the room are me and my wife. That's it.
I think this connecting suite is lovely.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's really nice. Is it the nicest room in the house? In the tavern? We've seen quite a few of them. The 2 suites, 1 and 2, are very nice.
Yeah.
I love this room. I think this connecting suite is lovely.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's really nice. Is it the nicest room in the house? In the tavern? We've seen quite a few of them. The 2 suites, 1 and 2, are very nice.
Yeah.
I love this room. I think this connecting suite is lovely.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's really nice. Is it the nicest room in the house? In the tavern? We've seen quite a few of them. The 2 suites, 1 and 2, are very nice.
Yeah.
I would say they're
that would be
equally
the one
nice.
that I would want Phil and us
To share the suites.
No, it plays a little bit for a few seconds. So you know that's not my wife humming
Yeah,
because
it's you hear a ooh.
it's a higher pitch.
Yeah.
It's right on top of when my wife is talking. And if you knew my wife, and I love my wife dearly, but she cannot carry a tune in a bucket. Okay.
T, you're
So-
recording this, man.
Yeah, I know. She, if she's in chat, she'd be like, "No lies detected."
No lies
Now this,
detected.
but there's the first one, and you can just see the 2 of us are just talking like nothing's going on. If I heard that humming in real time, oh yeah, you bet I would have been flipping out.
But not running away.
Not running away, but not running away. Now I'm gonna let Phil lead us in on this one. This is, I believe
This is the old hospital on
yeah.
College Hill.
I
which
believe this is
in,
the music box.
West Virginia. We are, one of our devices, which is not here today, is a music box. Essentially, it's a motion detector that is connected to a music box. It plays a nice little spooky tune. It's
Let me
just
make
another.
sure that- hold on.
We're making sure that this is the clip.
All right, I'm gonna come back in here.
Yeah, this is it. Yep.
My back.
Whoop, I'll fix that.
Okay, he's going to fix that. So we were getting some hits on different devices in here, and we were hearing things kind of down this hallway, so we decided to push our gear a little further down there. That seemed to be where the activity was coming from.
And again, this is the old hospital on College Hill in Williamson, West Virginia.
All right, I'm gonna come back in here with my back to you. In fact, I'll stand a little closer this time. I'm gonna stand right here. I think that's one.
You're gonna take 2 steps forward, Phil. Take 2 steps forward.
And then 2 steps back.
No.
Let's play a little game.
The first thing we got to do is find out if you're here to play with us.
Oh, they're here. Oh, they're here. They're here. My game is going to be, how can you come up to me more quickly than I can get to that door? And I'll go when I hear you make that REM pod beep. Because I know you know what a REM pod is, because you've had people here before. So I'm going to count to 3, okay? And on 3, you make that REM pod beep, and I'll move. And then if you can touch me on the back before I get to that door, you win. Sound good?
Let's go.
No, I go on beep. I go on beep. All right.
Give him a beep.
3, 2, 1.
That was not me. The fact, and
That
this
wasn't the REM pod.
That wasn't the REM
the
pod.
The timing.
But the thing is, that's why I like motion so well, because the camera doesn't lie. There's nothing around Phil.
Yeah.
And bugs do not set that off. Nothing's around Phil, and then that happens. Now you would think that'd be weird enough, but we're still at the old hospital, and this is the same. Same hallway, and we're basically talking now. That sound you hear and that software in the background, that is one of Phil's. Phil's is the team MacGyver, and he made a homemade portal. A portal is basically something that it's similar to Vox, where it takes the cycling sound out of a spirit
Yes.
box.
So when you have the spirit box running, you'd hear a shh, 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 as it's cycling through the radio
it's loud.
stations. And what the portal does is it eliminates the shh, 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 shh. And you could set it for different sensitivities. So basically, a sound of only of a certain volume will get through. So you say, I want this, like 10 decibels will only get through, and so you'll only hear the loudest voices.
That being said, you've got the portal running in the background, and you'll hear the discussion in here. What I want you to really pay attention to, particularly when we go from sound source to sound source to sound source, is the spatial relation of where everyone is standing. All right, because let's say I'm at this point, Phil's at this point, Pip's down the hallway, and here's what happened. If you want me to back off, you gotta go up to the blue light. The REM pod is Phil's. The REM pod's Phil thing. The blue light is my thing.
No.
No?
No.
It sounded like no.
What if I asked please? Because you're right, I'm in the South. I should know my manners. If you want me to back off, you gotta go up to the blue light. The REM pod is Phil's. The REM pod's Phil thing. The blue light is my thing.
No.
No?
No.
It sounded like no.
What if I asked please? Because you're right, I'm in the South. I should know my manners. If you want me to back off, you gotta go up to the blue light. The REM pod is Phil's. The REM pod's Phil thing. The blue light is my thing.
No.
No?
No.
It sounded like no.
What if I asked please? Because you're right, I'm in the South. I should know my manners. If you want me to back off, you gotta go up to the blue light. The REM pod is Phil's. The REM pod's Phil thing. The blue light is my thing.
No.
No?
No.
It sounded like no.
What if I asked please? Because you're right, I'm in the South. I should know my manners. If you want me to back off, you gotta go up to the blue light. The REM pod is Phil's. The REM pod's Phil thing. The blue light is my thing.
No.
No?
It sounded like no.
Yeah, because we listened to this
What if I asked
dozens
please?
of times,
Yeah.
Probably
You're right,
hundreds
I'm
of
in the South.
times,
I should know
to
my
get a
manners.
sense of the spatial awareness between the different devices and who was holding what device. And whew, that one still gives me the chills.
Yeah, yeah. And again, save your Q&A for, we're getting,
Quick question.
yeah, okay.
In the audio, what was the beep before the no?
The beat before the no was the portal. And it was, and we actually thought we heard coming from the
From
portal.
the portal, no.
No. And you notice that that no has been consistent in its volume. So that was obviously coming from there. I know that no didn't come from the portal because it was too clean.
Yeah,
It didn't sound like it was coming
Yeah.
through the portal. And I think also the third thing about it is I can't reproduce that tone. I don't know what note that is as a former musician. I don't know what that note is.
Well, I wouldn't be using falsetto on
Yeah,
an
exactly.
investigation.
Why would we be, yeah. And it was just that was one of these, this was one of those moments that I'm and this is also my explanation for people when they go, why do people bring multiple recorders and multiple, it's so that they can do this, because when you've got it from different perspectives like this, it gets a lot harder to dismiss as an artifact that was caught on one of the memory cards or things like that. And the fact that we're reacting, I don't know if we heard the no or if that was the no reacting to what was coming in through the portal.
Yeah.
This could be a disembodied voice, but it just popped and we caught it on 4 different devices.
Yeah. And that's what's interesting too, is you might have 4 different devices running. You catch it on every device, or you catch it on one device, which
Like
is
this one.
also very strange.
Like this one.
Yes.
And I'm gonna let Phil lead us on to this one.
Okay, so this was the first time we brought the families to Linville Manor, right? So we are doing an investigation. It's T and I, it's our wives, my 2 daughters, and T's kid as well. And so I think we were getting ready to take a break.
We were setting up.
Or we were setting up.
We weren't even in investigation mode. We were setting up. And then this happens.
I don't know what's on a switch in here and what's not.
Is there a switch by your
I
place?
thought the whole room was on.
There's a switch right there.
Yeah, but that switch does not seem to do anything. Exactly. It just shuts off the armor.
Oh, no,
It shuts off the armor.
All right, let me see if there's a switch over here.
Might be
Well,
low.
these switches here.
That was not us.
Again. All right.
I think I heard Sabrina say mom.
Huh?
What?
She
I thought you were in another room.
No, she didn't say anything.
Did you not?
I heard that.
I thought that was.
I thought that was Serena. I heard mom.
Me too.
I heard it too.
It wasn't.
That was not a real person.
me.
She's right behind you, T.
Exactly. It just shuts off the armor.
Oh, no,
It shuts off the armor.
All right, let me see if there's a switch over here.
Might be
Well,
low.
these switches here.
That was not us.
Again. All right.
I think I heard Sabrina say mom.
Huh?
What?
She didn't
I thought
say
you were in
anything.
another room.
No, she didn't say anything.
Did you not? Did you not?
And you'll also notice too that Simon did not give the short beep. He gave a long, high tone. That is the temperature sensor.
Yeah.
So when mom happened, there was a sudden spike in temperature.
And
spike
so
up.
we all heard that, Mom.
Yeah.
No one had said it, and that's the distinction between a disembodied voice and an EVP. Disembodied voice you hear in real time, in the moment. But boy, that one really caught us off guard.
Yeah. Which is why I give the advice: never stop recording.
Yeah.
Always have something running.
Yeah, because you never
Always have
know.
it.
You just
never know when
never
it's
you
gonna
just
hit.
never do know.
And after everything we've thrown at you, now comes the time where if you've got questions, and as I said earlier to the earlier group of ringers that we have in here, we don't shy away from the tougher questions.
Yeah, you can ask him all the hard questions you want.
Yeah, give him the softballs. So did anybody have any questions for us?
I have a question.
Go right ahead.
As investigators, do you ever get concerned that there may be something following you home? Or have you ever experienced-
That's a
So
great
can
one.
I grab that one?
You go right ahead.
I'll start.
Yeah.
So, one very important practice that we do on investigations has a lot to do with the intent. So we state very clearly to the space when we are leaving, thank you for sharing your space with us. We appreciate you welcoming us, and if that has interacted, we appreciate you interacting with us, but you have to stay here. This is your space, and we're returning to our space. You can't follow us home. Now, that is to say, so you're setting the intention, and then we also have certain cleansing rituals that we do as well with like certain essential oils, and we sage ourselves. I mean, we take it very, very, very seriously. I mean, it's maybe nothing will ever follow you home, but we want to be sure, right? We want to be sure. Now, that being said, there have been several occasions, at least with my wife and I, that we have been followed home. There was one occasion that I will share that we had gone to the Jenny Wade house, and we had a ton of activity, a lot of activity that seemed very childlike, and that is one of the claims at Jenny Wade, that some of the children from the orphanage used to like to go down to the Jenny Wade house and spend time there. And so the following night, my wife and I were laying in bed, and there's just kind of a vibe in our bedroom. We're not thinking too much of it until we see a figure of a small child run past the foot of our bed. Now, it didn't alarm us. We didn't feel any threats from it, but we did say, hey, it's nice that you enjoyed our company enough to follow us here, but you can't stay here. And after we stated that, nothing else happened. And this happened on a few other occasions, but again, it hasn't been, nothing bad has ever followed us. It often seems like something curious, but yeah, so I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, not everyone can be like Jason Hawes, where I heard him say once, he goes, I've been doing this so long, someone follows me home, they got to pay rent. Yeah. You know, I mean, he's just, he's a character. He really is. He's a character.
Yeah. We had a question back there?
Have you ever, I know it largely has to do with respect, how you approach the spirits. Have you ever come across an event?
Yes.
Yeah.
Far too close. We were in Charleston, South Carolina.
Oh yeah.
And and I hear there's your problem.
Yeah. Very haunted town.
Very haunted town.
Very haunted town.
And the thing you have to, and this is one of the things I have against the whole paranormal entertainers, is they will not hesitate to build false narratives. And what's important whenever you get into this field is you really should know your history as much as possible. And that also includes the people that are your hosts. Mm-hmm. For what happened to me in Charleston, South Carolina, we caught it on video. And bless our special guests who were the Ghoulie Girls, they actually filmed me after I got out of the house. I already had a bad feeling going into the house.
Yeah.
And there was this narrative that was being built in another room. We did a lot of research and we could not prove anything about this particular narrative that was coming in through the spirit box and stuff like that.
And we had very little information about the house in general.
Yeah.
And by very little, we had zero information really.
We had zero information, but all we knew was that there were a lot of spirits in the house, and that the one in the back room was particularly prickly.
Was just a little grumpy, but
grumpy.
Nothing to worry about.
So during this false narrative hard to prove narrative, whatever this narrative that was building in the other room where Phil and the Ghoulie Girls were.
It was quite fascinating as a narrative, though.
We
just couldn't prove it.
We just couldn't prove it. But I remember saying, well, as a Christian, as as someone that's been raised in this faith, I can't, I'm not a priest. I can't absolve you of this, but I can give you my love, and I can offer you forgiveness. When I said that, apparently the grumpy spirit didn't care for it. And while we were in his room, I suddenly felt my back, which I've never had back problems before this. I'd never experienced anything like this. But I suddenly felt this cramp in the small of my back, and it didn't, now normally cramps just do this. This was doing this. It was spreading up all along my back, and you actually see my posture change. I mean, I'm standing like this. I don't sound like me.
And you were white as a ghost as well. No pun intended. Okay, pun intended.
And pun intended. And I was in a lot of pain, but I remember my last words on that, and I was live streaming this too. I was live streaming this investigation, and I said, I am not going to, and I was angry. I said, I am not going to let this house beat me.
As an outside observer,
Yeah.
also witnessed a total shift in T's personality. He was angry.
And
it was
everybody
so
in
strange.
everybody in my stream was like, get him out of there.
Get T out of the house.
Get T out of there. T's not supposed to be there. Everybody get it. And man, now I'm getting chills thinking about it.
It was something.
The moment I cleared the landing of that house,
outside,
I was fine.
Yeah.
I was fine.
You were exhausted.
I was exhausted. I was
you were-
rattled, but I was fine.
Yeah.
Getting there. This is what we found out. And then, again, this is why I love my wife so much, because, as I said earlier,
She's our historian.
She's a reference librarian, but she's also now our lead historian and our lead researcher. She did some digging, which I wish the hosts of the building had done.
Right. They clearly had not.
They had no clue. This was on a property called Maryville. It was a predominantly African American community that was thriving and doing extremely well for itself. This happened, just to give some again, why history matters. The insurrection of Wilmington, North Carolina had happened. So had the Tulsa Massacre. And now we had another black southern town that was doing extremely well for itself. I really believe that the southern government, the South Carolina government said, we can't have a Tulsa Massacre here. We can't have a Wilmington insurrection. So what they do, they found a loophole in the Constitution, a loophole in the state Constitution, and they annexed Maryville, and then they drove it into the ground.
Yeah.
And when you think about it, this land, that property was probably once owned by a black man or by a black family, and they were doing really well for themselves. Then the WIPO came in and they took everything
from them. So a lot of trauma, a lot of tragedy on this land, and a lot of
And then fast forward a few decades, and then this southern kid from
Richmond, Virginia shows
coming
up.
in going, hey, I'm a Christian, I'm here to help, and then that happened.
Yeah, so it's hard to say if it was truly malevolent, but the
No,
event
I will say
itself,
this, it wasn't demonic.
Yeah.
It was not demonic.
But
But was it malevolent?
Like-
was it angry? Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, great question. Great question.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, going on that, how do you distinguish between a spirit and something that is demonic?
Okay, so
And can you?
I
We've
think
had
it can
we've
be
had many
very
discussions about
yeah,
this,
it can be really hard to distinguish. I mean, I do think so. I lump like demonics into just non-human entities. So it could be an elemental spirit, it could be a nature spirit, but I lump it into this categorization. It could be a thought form, a tulpa, an egregore, which is basically these energies and forms that are said to be created by our consciousness.
I have my own response. I'm going to wait.
But you watch yourself.
Yeah.
I think it's hard. I just think ultimately it's hard to make that distinction. I think part of it is your gut and is your intuition.
Can all of these entities exist in one location? Demons, spirits?
I think absolutely.
Yeah. But
Yeah, I think absolutely.
here's my take on the D word. One, it gets really abused by paranormal entertainers.
Yes.
That's my first big problem.
Yeah.
with it. Secondly, and I've said this before on in between our investigations, we do this thing called a 5-minute paranormal, and it's just this quick little 5-minute ish, piece of content that we talk about certain subjects, and we talked about in one time we talked about demons specifically, and the biggest problem I have with demons is you're not going to know that they're demons, because
It's hard.
being Christian, I was grown up to be led to believe that a demon does not come up to you and go, "Hello, pleased to meet you. I'm a demon. It's my God."
Here's my
You know,
card.
unless it's Lucifer, with the high cheekbones and the Vish abs, but
Right.
But as far as demons,
Terrible.
they're all about deception. They're all about deception, which is why I can't believe I'm about to say this. I'm going to punch you in the nads. Talk
What
to
did
me.
I do?
You made me watch Talk to Me, and here's the thing: when you watch, I loved the film The Others. Now it's one of the scariest films I've seen because I've gotten into when you get into paranormal investigation, you watch any ghost movies, they all land very differently.
They do.
And
Yeah.
Talk to Me answers your question straight away because it's all about deception.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about.
Yeah.
It's all about. I mean, she was no spoiler. Well, kind of spoilery.
No spoilers.
No
team.
spoilers. Anyway, it's about deception.
I gotta keep an eye on
It's
him.
about deception,
Yeah.
and that's what demons, true demons, excel in.
And-
which is why when you hear a kid's voice or you hear a child's voice, or if you hear a loved one's voice, you've got to be super critical about that.
Yeah, because again, it is about deception.
Yeah.
And I will go back to what we talked about really at the beginning is, this is our most critical piece of gear. And trust your intuition.
Trust your intuition, trust your
trust your fear. We don't often feel fear on investigations. But when we do, it's telling us something. And I'll back it up to when we went to the TWA Flight 514 crash site. We went back at night, and there was a very powerful energy at this location. It was very powerful. It was very dark, and I truly believe that it was non-human when we were back
I
at
would
night.
dare say that would be demonic.
Yeah, and I'm
We were
getting
hearing kids'
my hair
voices.
is completely on end, but we felt not just fear,
We felt unwelcome.
absolute dread.
And
we knew it was time to leave because it was just this exponentially ramping up emotion. And you're getting the chills too, aren't you?
That I would say that still ranks as my most terrifying. That was the most. That was the place I was the most.
Yeah,
terrified.
we were not welcome there. We were not. So
And we've been to some terrifying places.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been to Old Hospital. We've been to Crescent. We have been to St. Albans. We've been to different places.
with darker histories, yeah.
But TWA caught us off guard.
Yeah. And I hope that answers your question.
No,
That's a, and that's
I've heard those answers.
and that's a fantastic question. That
No,
really
it's
is
a great question. My thing is that I just feel like that the word is bandied about too much, which, and like I said, I know I keep going back to talk to me, but the thing is that is a really
This movie really had an impact.
it rattled
on
me.
you.
It rattled it.
I
It
did a
rattled
good
the hell
job.
out of me. The thing, and I think the reason why it resonated with me so much is because I feel like that was for me an accurate depiction of what a true demonic spirit would do.
Yeah.
Because it is, from beginning to end, it is about deception.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a pretty interesting talk at Trinity Episcopal with our priest about that. My priest, the Reverend Gail Goldsmith, and she had a few words about, we don't really call it demonic anymore because we look at the scriptures and we realize it's about that. It's about not appearing as you really are, versus you have a mental medical affliction or something like that. But yeah, great question. Great question.
Other questions?
Yes, sir.
You talked about respect, so I assume that you don't provoke.
No.
We steer very clear of provocation.
Make something happen.
Yeah, no.
I tried provoking once, and I felt like a moron. I did. I felt.
Yeah.
I felt
You looked like a moron.
I did. I did.
Question then. Have you ever heard a voice that sounded like somebody in the room, or somebody but they weren't there, or it wasn't them?
Oof.
That's a great question. So I have heard through the spirit box, I have heard voices come through of some very close loved ones that I've lost over the last several years come through, sounding definitively like them. I've had responses come through this device. I had a phrase that a dear friend used to say to me, and I was asking. I felt her presence.
Can
and
I say
was,
I'm not surprised?
Yeah, and I was asking if she was here.
Longest
and,
phrase I've
yeah.
ever heard come out of
And
that.
got the longest phrase we've ever gotten out of her was like what she would always say to me. So we haven't necessarily heard it in a disembodied sense that I can think of. Other than
No, I've had other people tell me that, and we kind of got corroboration for it. We were probably one of the most fun places we have ever investigated for obvious reasons. Because the dad jokes just write themselves. We went and we investigated. We investigated a distillery. So yes, there were spirits there. But
the dad jokes do write themselves.
but Chuck Miller, the head distiller of Belmont Farm, he told us that he heard his grandfather's voice through a spirit box.
Mm-hmm.
So fast forward to our investigation, and I said, we were told that the grandfather of Chuck was reaching through the spirit box. Sir, are you here with us right now? And we heard a footstep.
Mm-hmm.
We heard a very distinct footstep on the other side of the barrel room, and to me that was corroboration, which led to Chuck, because we did a reveal in front of Chuck.
Of the evidence with Chuck.
And he was like, why are they here? Why have they chosen my place? And I said, Chuck, don't worry about it. It's your granddad. he taught you how to make he taught you how to make whiskey,
moonshine.
you know. And in Chuck's words, I've been making moonshine for over 70 years, selling it legally for 25. and but when I said it could be your grandfather just checking on you.
Yeah.
And just because, and that was one of the revelations that we had. Spoiler alert for tonight's episode of Old Spirits. We had a revelation about someone being haunted or something being haunted. It's not necessarily a bad thing.
No.
It does not have to be negative.
And I will say too, you know, this, as you've been talking, I've been thinking, I am a big fan of the concept of having a spiritual team. It could be your ancestors, for example. It could be close friends that have passed away. And I firmly believe that several of these people that I've lost are part of this team for me, and that they are popping in on investigations and whatnot. And it's not always about like hearing a voice, right, or getting a phrase through one of these devices. It's about that feeling that you associate with a connection with a person. And I often do get those feelings on investigations.
And while I don't feel like I do have a paranormal spirit team like Phil, I will admit, as I mentioned before everybody got here, I moved into a 100-year-old house in Lynchburg, and Pip and I were like, we're not going to run devices. We don't want to know if it's haunted, you know, because the last place, you know,
That is one of our rules.
that was
You
one of
never
our
turn a
rules. Do
device
not
on in
run
house.
your devices in your own home unless you really want to know.
I've broken the rule a few times.
But
Don't
then,
tell my
yeah.
wife.
But the thing was that I remember being in the house by myself with the cats, waiting for Pip and the movers to get there. And I felt 1,000 eyes on me. I felt these eyes on me. I felt these eyes looking at me like, okay, what are you going to do? And that was the God's honest truth. I felt like there were all these eyes looking at me going, what are you going to do to this house? Pip found out after digging that the house had been, for 20 years, a rental property, okay? And every time oh my God, there were so many landlord specials in this place. It drove me bananas. First thing we did was we got rid of the nipple lights, those god-awful 1960s, 1970s nipple lights. And when we got the last one down, I honestly thought I heard somebody go. And every little improvement that we've made to the house, I just feel like, you know, I just feel like the house, someone, and we know we've had at least 3 deaths in the house, but someone, or actually 3 ladies, we really believe that we have 3 ladies in the house from the 1930s and probably from the 1940s, and they love us because we took the house.
Beautiful work on the house.
And we're turning it back into a home. And we freaking love that house. And I mean, and yeah, I've had it happen. You know, I'll be looking at my big, nearly 20-pound 2-year-old kitten, Hudson. He's looking at me and I'm going, who's your big man? Who's your big man? And he's doing this thing. He's rolling around and he does this.
Yeah.
He's not blinking. He is just staring at a point in the adjoining room. And I touch him to just give him a little, and he does this. He goes,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, but do I feel threatened? No. In fact, the earlier mentioned Liana Rupert said, she said, I love this house. It feels like a great big warm hug.
Yeah, and it does. I've stayed there many times. It's a hug of a house.
The hug of a house. Yeah. I think you right there had yes, you. Did you have a question? I thought I saw your hand go up. No? I'm wrong. Okay, never mind.
You're wrong. We got a
You have
question
a
here, though.
I was at Annenberg on April 29th. and
Yes, you were. That's why you look so familiar.
I was in your wife's group.
Yeah, yeah.
So do you have any additional analysis or information? Have you been back there since?
Oh, yeah. We actually did. The episode that we did for Old Spirits, it was just me and Phil. And here's what we have deduced.
Oh, but we haven't been back since the 29th, right?
No, I'm sorry, you're right. No, because that
We
was
were
the event
before.
you
We were
that
February.
you
Yes, I was not
unfortunately
there.
missed,
So,
right.
yeah.
After that, particularly after that episode, after that investigation, I would say this: there's something a little angry on the 3rd floor. There's something. I wouldn't say it's malevolent, but it's cranky as hell. That was where we got the Help Me
Yeah.
EVP that we got. There's just there's a nastiness on the third floor. Second floor, I have no definitive proof, but my gut instinct is telling me Anna's around there, and it's
Yeah,
a little
we
more, it's a little
all
more
got
welcoming.
that sense. Yeah.
It's a little more welcoming. It's a little more calm. It's a little more calm. When Phil and I were there and we cracked open a beer in the place, you know, we had some instrument activity happen, which was fun.
And just background,
Oh yeah,
if you don't know, Annenberg was owned and built originally by a beer baron.
by name Robert Portner.
Yes. That's why, so we brought
Yeah.
the beer as sort of
Yeah.
an offering to
Yeah.
him.
And
And he couldn't drink it, so we did.
yeah, but that would be, you know, if I were to have a conclusion about the place, I would say third floor, a little darker, a little crankier. Second floor, very delightful, very chill. But I also believe that there were several times we've got from the ITC devices, good night, you can go. You know,
Yes.
things like Anna wanted us out of her house.
Yeah, but also on that second floor too, we got a lot in the front bedroom. A lot of familial
Yeah,
terms
family,
on the
sister.
ITC devices,
Yeah,
on some
we
of the
did.
other devices. So, yeah, we think there's more of the family vibe on that floor for sure.
Nice place, Annabelle.
So what about the basement? I mean, I used to live there whenever.
We have not been down to the basement.
They haven't let us go.
They
down
haven't
the
opened that up yet.
basement. That's how we keep
I
it.
worked in the kitchen.
Oh, okay.
In the basement.
And you're picking up some juju down there?
So I was a teenager, so
Mm-hmm.
you know, early
Yeah.
on. But
Yeah.
there were some weird things.
Some weird things.
You know? It was the house, and then they built wings.
They had the
on
wings, right?
So 3 West, the third floor of
Mm-hmm.
the West End.
Mm-hmm.
There were some interesting things that went
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. Well,
Because the elevator was in the old house.
Yes.
Like on the outside of the old house.
Yep.
And the big, huge carts were in the kitchen was on east wing, where the dining room was. And there was this little hallway that went from east to west.
Uh-huh.
And you went up in the 3 West was interesting.
Well, we got to see
Well,
now.
good night.
Yeah.
Well,
Don't go there.
but this
We
is
would
how-
say go there at night.
This is how we manage a great relationship with Rachel. If Rachel says we can't go somewhere, we don't go there.
Yeah.
But
Again,
now we
that's-
may say, Rachel, can we go to the
Can we
basement?
please, can we go down
It
there?
would just be interesting to see
Yes.
what it looks like now.
Yes.
As opposed to whenever it was a nursing home.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm all
Lots of
for looking
things
into
went
that.
on, you know,
Yeah.
in that nursing home.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, whenever they-
Yeah.
But I will say there was a there
Yeah.
was a stronger vibe of just unpleasantness on that third floor,
Yeah.
as opposed to the second. But we did get some really interesting some interesting hits that night. But one of the things that I do want to stress, if you want to do this, the thing that we did, the public paranormal investigation,
Yeah.
that's always a great way to dip your toe in to see if that's
Oh,
the
yeah.
thing. Now, one of the things that you'll hear us do that maybe some other less scrupulous folks will do is we will say nothing may happen tonight.
Yeah, we're very clear that
Yeah.
you may come and nothing will happen, but you're here in this beautiful location,
Right.
doing things with like-minded souls,
Right.
having some great conversations, but nothing paranormal may happen.
And and
Let me ask you this, T, though. Can you think of any, and again, I'm knocking on wood, can you think of any investigation we've gone on in 4 years where nothing has happened?
Okay, us, no. Me, yes.
Well, there's your problem right there.
There was the first problem. Well, no, I take that back because, so we went to a very infamous spot, paranormal-wise. Unfortunately, Phil couldn't make it, but we went to this place called the Hinsdale House, and it's in Upper New York, and all the big names have been there, and everybody's got all these wild stories. Yeah, but none of them have been corroborated. In fact, the people that are now
Right.
owning the Hinsdale House are like, yeah, that's a myth, that's a myth, that's a myth, that's a myth, that's a myth. And they're trying to restore the credibility of the house,
Yeah.
because a lot of the stuff that people were claiming that was happening. No, the house is not near an Indian burial ground. No,
Right.
no, a kid did not get decapitated by farming equipment on the property. No, there's all these things that they claimed happened here didn't happen. And it was a very slow night. I can't say though nothing happened, because when Pip was, that's my wife, when Pip was walking out, she hit record. And this is why I said, Pip, you always have to leave record on something, because
Yeah.
she walked out and hit record, and just as she hit record, you hear that,
Yeah.
you hear somebody
The
humming.
humming.
Apparently these ghosts know one tune.
Yeah.
But I did hear that snippet, but there was no other recording devices actively recording around her at the time.
Yeah. But I will say, in terms of getting a feel for it, and of course, I'm biased because it is us, but coming to one of our public events, we do really give you a hands-on
Yeah.
experience. We keep
least
the
I hope we
numbers.
did.
Yes, we keep
Okay.
the numbers. Yeah, you can attest. Hopefully,
Yeah.
we keep the numbers relatively small so the place
Yeah.
doesn't get overcrowded.
And
so
we
you get
try
a chance
to,
to do it.
And we try to make sure that if something does happen, if we can't explain it, then bonus, congratulations. I would say the weirdest thing though that happened to us at Annenberg during one of our public events was, because one of the rules we have, because we have a long set of rules, and one of the rules we have at our paranormal events are do not wear perfume or cologne,
Yes.
because in case we pick up some kind of phantom smell. And I'm sure that would make some people's eyes roll, but sure enough, we were walking from the third floor to the second floor, my group, and I want to say this was the first time we'd done it.
Yeah.
And I stopped, and I turned to my group and I said, do you all smell that? And we smelled this really, it was like a heavy lilac,
Yeah.
kind
Very
of
florally.
very floral perfume. And I said, okay, I want everybody to be honest with me.
Yeah.
Did anybody wear perfume? And everybody in my group said, you told us not to.
Meanwhile, separately,
This is what,
when
now
my
this is a
group
personal
was in the
experience.
same
but-
part,
Yeah.
you know, we're in there for a little while, and then I think we were getting ready to leave, maybe 5 or 10 minutes before, and we smelled this very florally perfumed smell. And I ask, now be honest with me, you're not going to get in trouble. Did any of you wear perfume? And no one wore perfume. So we were able to corroborate that at separate times, and
As much as we could.
that was really neat.
Two questions.
Sure.
So these events that you're talking about, how do people?
How do people
join?
find out about
That's
them?
one question, yeah.
So
Is it on
one.
the website? Is
So
it-
following
Should
us
be on
on
the
social
PWC
media
website,
would be a great way to find out.
Yeah.
Following us on social media is a great way to find out, probably the best way to find out. Then on Facebook and Instagram.
Threads, and Blue Sky.
Yeah, and do we have the links on here?
You know, that was the one thing I forgot to put
Okay.
on there.
BOSI?
Facebook is Old Spirits Investigations.
Most of
Yep.
the time it is Old Spirits
Yeah.
Investigations. Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, if you were to pop that
Actually,
into
no, all of
Google,
them. No, that we got right. That we got right. All of them are Old Spirits Investigations. Old Spirits Investigations, Blue Sky. Old Spirits Investigations, Threads,
Yeah.
et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And on YouTube, Old Spirits Investigations. Don't get me started on his Don't Turn Around.
yeah, but we will get started on that. We will talk about that very briefly. Do we have any other questions? Oh, you had 2 questions.
So you mentioned New York a lot. Have y'all been to Dryden, town of Dryden?
No, we have not.
Not yet.
Yes. Okay. We will put that on the list.
It's an ever-growing list. Right now, we're just trying to navigate. Right now, we're trying to navigate. Just moving to Lynchburg. We've got things like
My daughter's going off to college.
yeah, things like that. And so what we're trying to do, I don't mind saying this. We're trying to also find places that are not necessarily the pop
Right.
hotspots.
Yes, the more off the beaten
Yeah.
path locations, the lesser investigated spots we are very drawn to.
But I can say that in the upcoming episodes for season 4 of Old Spirits, which is playing on YouTube, and we have an investigation. We have an investigation tonight. It's part 2 of our investigation of Trinity Episcopal Church. It was the first time we had ever investigated a church that was active, not paranormally. I just mean people.
Like people
it's our
actually go to church
We're
there.
actually going to the church. But some of the locations we've got lined up, I believe it is, at least I consider it probably one of the unseen gems. I mean, while everyone's going to, and don't get me wrong, I want to go to Waverly, but while everyone's going to Waverly and everybody's going to Trans-Allegheny and people are also going to the Washoe Club out in Virginia City, there's a place called the Wildwood Sanatorium in Upper West New York State. That was bonkers. That place was nuts. I mean, it was. I mean, yeah, I rank it right next to TWA as far as scary places. But we are going there in season 4. I think one of the most meta investigations we've ever done. We got invited to investigate the building where Ghost Stop.
Oh
is
yeah,
located.
so Ghost Stop, who makes a lot of the gear that you
Yeah.
see here, we actually were fortunate enough to do an investigation of their very haunted facility where they make this stuff. So that was pretty neat.
And it was just funny because we played this clip that we captured of something that we captured, and Sean's like, Sean being the owner of Ghost Stop, he goes, "Yeah, that happens to me all the time." I'm like, but there's also been, these are some of the investigations we have coming up.
Yeah.
So the hardest thing about what we do is really scheduling time.
is a big challenge.
Especially
Just
when it's
scheduling the
upstate.
time,
Yeah.
the budget, as well. But yeah, there are a number of places in New York that I would love to get to. But
I particularly want to, and if anybody's curious, if you are getting into paranormal investigation, after you investigate Wildwood, I can highly, highly, highly recommend. In that area is also the National Comedy Center. It is this
not haunted.
Not haunted, but it is the coolest
But if you like
museum.
comedy.
It is a museum of comedy. And it's the history of comedy, and it is 100% interactive, and it is bonkers. Right before you walk in, you set up your comedy profile, and then all the exhibits react to the badge that you're wearing and the comedy profile set to you, which says a lot about me because my comedy profile appearing centers around George Carlin.
There you go. There you go. Says a lot. But what I will say too, and I think that brings up a good point, that we take investigations as an opportunity to also explore these great towns that we've never been to, and to support local businesses is something we're very big on too. So it's not even just about the investigation itself. There's a whole experience, a rich experience around it as well. And so it's something that we have really fallen in love with, and we've done it 4 years, and we will be doing this for many more years. I don't see any stopping anytime soon.
And speaking of stopping, we might have to wrap it up. I didn't know if we were
any
running
more
over
questions?
time,
Do you
but I
have any
wanted
more
to see if we had
questions?
any more questions.
Are you taking applications?
Maybe someday. Maybe someday.
We'd have to really buckle down.
We got a question right here.
What's up with the teddy bear?
T, why don't you tell us about the teddy bear?
Toss me Boo Buddy. This is the unexpected gem that we discovered at Ghost Stop.
T takes this so when he's scared on an investigation, he can hold it.
Actually, when I edit video, because that's the time I get the most scared, is not when I'm on location, it's when I'm editing the video and I'm hearing stuff that I didn't see, or I'm catching stuff, or hearing stuff that I didn't hear, or seeing stuff that I'm like, hey, wait, how did that happen? But when we were investigating, at Ghost Stop, they not only opened up their space, they said, oh yeah, if there's anything you want to use, feel free to throw it out. And they put out Boo Buddy. And that's what this guy is. This is Boo Buddy.
That's the Boo Buddy.
And Boo Buddy picks up EMF. He measures EMF. He measures temperature. He does trigger questions to see if he can get responses. But I'll never forget.
Also, he's motion sensitive too. You touch it, right?
No. That's Ian. Oh no, he is.
No, because when he says, "Ooh, that tickles,"
he said, "Yeah." He'll sometimes tell you, "Ooh, that tickles," which means something's touching him.
Yeah.
If he says, "Oh," and it's got a kid's voice, so it's almost kind of like almost like Bride of Chucky, but
Is it like bait for kids?
it's bait for child-minded.
Yeah, we consider like a trigger. They call it a trigger object.
A trigger
It's just a trigger object that has built-in sensors.
But what's cool about it is that when he when it gets cold, he goes, "Woo, it's cold in here." and I remember we were just kind of making fun of Boo Buddy, and then suddenly Boo Buddy went. This was at Ghost Stop. It went, "Aw, I like holding hands too." We all shut up. We all just shut up, and it's like, okay, Teddy Ruxpin's coming to kill us tonight. this is actually a pretty versatile device. And I've been having, I did this thing, I've been toying around with overnight streaming at my house, and I put Boo Buddy out, and I got more complaints about Boo Buddy. You know, it was like, I would watch this stream, but that bear is freaking me out.
No, but he's a great little device.
But he's been a great addition to the team. But yeah, if you have any,
any other questions?
Any other questions?
Yes.
So I know that you guys talked about Kindred Spirits, which is an awesome show, and I know that they do like historical and also residential, just like, you know, random people's houses.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever done?
So we have not done a residential. We have discussions.
Boy,
we
we have
would
discussions about it.
consider it, but it would have to be the right fit, you know, because we've heard horror stories of people doing residential sight unseen and having anywhere from like obsessive people they're dealing with to legal issues. And so we want to be really careful.
I mean, I've seen some YouTube investigations where the team was going to investigating somebody's house, and the team walks in and there's just stuff everywhere, just stuff. And I know Pip and I was like, oh my God. And then they were like, they would pan the camera around, and they're just asking questions but not commenting on the clear black mold that you can see, you know, in the corners.
So it's safety concerns.
There's
it would
safety
have to be the
concerns.
right fit. We wouldn't say no to the right opportunity.
Jason Hawes has probably one of the most legendary stories where they had wrapped up an investigation, and the guy said, "You're not leaving." And Jason
that's
was like,
right.
Yeah, Jason was like, "I beg
You
your
know,
pardon." He said, "You're not leaving." And Jason just looks at the guy, pow! One shot, he hits the ground, and I was like, "What do we do?" And Jason goes, "We leave." And everybody proceeded to step over the guy's body. I have a not my personal experience, but I had a friend who was part of the Taft
this
family.
is scary.
They're driving in the mountains of Vermont, and the friend says, "Hey, we take this private road here." The moment they pulled onto the private road, lost all cell. Everybody's cell phone went dead. They get there.
Something was jamming their cell.
Yeah.
signal.
They get there, and it's a double wide in the middle of nowhere. And the guy has 2 satellite dishes on his roof. Guy comes out and he just looks everybody over and he goes, "Well, you can start whenever you want. I'm just going to be out here in the back." And he wanders off to the back, and the team looked at each other and they said,
"Yeah, that's when you listen to your gut."
And they left. And as soon as they got off the private road and got back on the main road, bam, cell reception, just like. So in the words of Jason Hawes, it's not the dead that scare me so much as it's the living.
Yeah.
And if you want to see a terrific, because that's one of the things that I feel is also something that to consider too, is when everybody laughs at the jokes from Ghostbusters, in particular the one where Bill Murray is interviewing the woman who just had the paranormal experience, and he goes, "Are you currently menstruating right now?" And he goes, "What does that have to do?" And he goes, "Back off, man, I'm a scientist." Honestly, that's not a bad question to be asking people, because you've got to ask about physical health and mental health. There was a docuseries that I saw on Apple TV. It's called The Enfield Poltergeist. Part 1, you are convinced something is happening at this house. Mm-hmm. Part 2, you are convinced that something was sketchy about the family and what was happening at the house.
Yeah.
Part 3, you're sitting there going, I don't know what to make of any of this.
Yeah, and we could do a whole other lecture on
But
that.
the line between paranormal activity and mental health, it is razor thin. And you've got to be on your game, which is why when it comes to doing residential stuff, I can look up everything about a property, but I can't look up
About the person.
About the person.
Yeah.
And one more thing on that too is that one of the other reasons why we've been very gun shy into doing stuff with residents, when it's a historical place, you can just basically do the thing and go, yeah, you're haunted. Well, see you later, and you're off. At a residence, they want you to do something.
Do something about it. Yeah. Yeah,
And-
exactly. But if we had a friend say, "Hey, my place is haunted,"
Oh, that's different. That's different.
I'm not looking for answers. I'm not looking for you to clear the space. I just want you to come check it out. Then,
Because if I can make a fast buck off
Yeah.
this, let's do it. You know?
yeah. But in this last minute, I just want to plug "Don't Turn Around," which we talked about at the very beginning. If you're into podcasts, you're looking for a paranormal podcast, "Don't Turn Around" is essentially, as I mentioned, it's human experiences as they relate to the paranormal. If you search for "Don't Turn Around" podcast on Google, you'll find it.
Yeah, and same thing. Phil and I also do. We host Old Spirits, which is the adventures of Old Spirits Investigations.
Yeah, our adventures of two
And-
dads in the paranormal.
Two dads in the paranormal, and tomorrow is our 4th anniversary
Yes.
of being a team.
So thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you
to
for being
celebrate our anniversary. But you all have been absolutely fantastic. Thank you for your thoughtful questions, your attentiveness. We really hope you enjoyed this as much as we enjoyed doing this as well. Thank you to the library for having us out here,
thanks
Jessica
again.
for hosting us.
Thanks again.
And thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.